We have covered the earthly drama of cheating husbands and a cheating family, and we have covered a very toxic partner in the form of Jonasi Gomorrah. But if you thought that you knew toxicity from watching Jonasi Gomorrah being the gallivanting, I don't know, whatever the fuck he was, then you will be shocked to find out that there is a tier two. Because grab onto your seats, we are about to delve into an outside of earthly and get into the toxic love triangle between Lasat, Louis, and Armand. My goodness. And then we'll throw in a little extra Claudia into the mix because, child, this story, the an interview with a vampire is everything you could imagine it to be. Like, I went in wondering, what the hell am I walking into? And I left wondering, when is the next season? Because, baby, I am happy to announce to you that season 3 is officially out. It officially started in 2026 June. This month, actually, it has officially started. So we are ready to get into it. Whoo, child. We gonna need some water because the thirst trap that is this man, these men, oh, child. They are a thirst trap like you would never imagine.
For your journalistic pleasures, my life story.
So, how long have you been dead?
The year was 1910. My business was desire.
Let me introduce you to Mr. Lestat de Liancourt.
I know who you are, sir. We're destined to be very good friends.
I'm assuming you only met at night.
It's New Orleans. Days are for sleeping off the previous evening's damage. That's your thing, eh? You like to watch?
I've been watching you for some time now. I can swap this life of shame. Swap it out for a dark gift.
Let the tale seduce you, just as I was seduced.
Now, let's break it down. The show begins with a very interesting tangent. Nothing like you would expect, right? You hear interview with a vampire and you're thinking, okay, cool, I guess. But no. Daniel Malloy is the person doing the interview with Louis, is actually someone that he'd met years before, like met years before, and he was still really, really young, starting up in his journalistic journey, right? And he would show up at clubs and he would interview random people, just try and find an interesting story within the clubs, within the neck of the woods that was, I think it was still New Orleans at the time. He would be out there trying to find a story so good that he could actually put out and make his name, attach his name to this story. This is Daniel Malloy. Daniel Malloy gets a message from none other than Louis Dupont. Louis Dupont, the pointer. Oh Lord, Louis. He gets a message from Louis saying, "Hey, we started off our interview and we never actually. I didn't like how that went. Let's do this again. Come through. I am now in Abu Dhabi. I'm in Dubai. I'm in the desert." And you're wondering, what the hell is a vampire doing in the desert? Uyu vampire anafanya nini kwa desert? It's too goddamn hot. Like, desert equals sun. What is he doing in the desert? And when we get there, we are encountered by Louis, who is a very old vampire. At this point, he got turned into a vampire when he was 33 years old. But he has a manservant, sort of like assistant type figure, that's always kind of to his side. He's the one who's always running the show and telling people what to do here, there, the other. His name is Armand. And Armand at this moment in time just looks like a background figure. And we're like, okay, what is Armand doing here? Cha! The plot that twisted. Hey! The plot that twisted with Armand, my jaw is still on the ground. I am trying to lift my jaw from the ground because Armand was a demon. Hey, Armand can look that nice and polite and innocent. Kumbe whole time, He is just weaving the webs of using, like a memory wipe. This guy is just, his whole talent is pretty much, if he doesn't like it, he presses undo to your brain. If he doesn't like it, he presses delete to your brain and you lose that memory completely. So we sit down with Louis and Louis sits down with Mr. Malloy and they get into this interview, right? And that's when we are encountered. Oh! This was for the girls and the gays. The girls and the gays are now encountered with the love story that is the love story between Lestat and Louis. Lestat is a 300-year-old plus vampire who showed up in New Orleans, saw Louis, and said, I am marking you. And of course, you're thinking, Go, what you mean? Where's the girl in the story? As I said, this is for the girls and the gays because, ciao. Oh, Louis is such an interesting character in the way that he always knew he wasn't like straight. He always knew he wasn't straight. Okay, he always knew he had a little bit of queer in him, but he never really actively pursued it. And he was riddled with a lot of guilt about his love and how he felt about his, sexuality and all of these things until he met Lestat. And Lestat just, oh, collected him like this. And I remember the first scene of this. Okay, I'm jumping ahead. So basically, Louis is actually an entrepreneur back in the 70s, where the level of racism and everything was insane. And this is red light district before red light district became what it was. And his father was actually died a long time ago, and he had left them. He used to work in a sugar plantation, or he used to run a sugar plantation, but he had now died. And unfortunately, the responsibility of being the fatherhead or the figurehead in his family landed upon Louis. And because the sugar plantation was pretty much run down, wasn't giving the money that it needs to give, our boy Louis decided to take a tangent. And do you know what he did? Yep, he set up a brothel. Yes, he set up a brothel. He was a pimp. And he was running this thing like military. All right, he was not joking with anybody, laughing with anybody. And you can imagine a rich, successful black man in an age where they did not accept black men to be that rich and successful was a whole thing on its own. So there was a lot of strife within his story, in that he's a black man trying to make it in this world where black men are not supposed to make it, but he is also very, very smart, and he loves his family, and he's very caring of his family, but he's riddled with the guilt of who he is as a person and who he can love. And also, you cannot be a Negro, okay? You cannot be a Negro who is homo. You cannot be a homo Negro. Okay, you can be one of those two. You can be Negro or you can be homo, but you cannot be a homo Negro. And the story then unfolds where we find out that he has a sister. He lives with his sister, his mother, and his brother. And his brother is a little bit troubled, right? He's a bit troubled. He's a little bit too spiritual. There's something about him that's just a little off. Like, his brain is not all the way there. And unfortunately, he is the bane of his existence at this point in time. But Louis is working hard to make sure that he's providing for his family, regardless of how shameful the industry that he's in is. He just continues to do what he needs to do and to get that guap, get that money, get that shmoola, right? Fast forward to the sister, who is also now recently engaged. She's about to get married. And then the mom, who's very quiet, she's okay with whatever he's doing as long as money's coming into the house, right? She's not going to press him on what he's doing. Of course, she's a church-going lady, but she's not going to press him on what he's doing as long as there's money coming into the family and he's taking care of people, right? Okay? Together? Sour. So it is the encounter between Louis and Lestat, right? Louis walks into this bar because he has, well, of course, he's not gonna, you can't You can't get high on your own supply, right? You can't get high on your own supply. So obviously he's not using women from his own brothel. He's getting services from women from another brothel, which is more upper class, where all the white people go and all that schmutz stuff, all that, aristocratic stuff, right? So he shows up at this place and he has a favorite girl. The girl is called Lily. And so he comes in to find Lily, only for him to find Lily's already engaged in a conversation with Lasat. And this banter that starts there, right? So Louis doesn't know he's getting hunted. He doesn't know that he is the meat. Hajui, he's the one to be cheapoed. He is the cheapo to be fungwed. He doesn't know at this moment in time. He's just here to see Lily because he was coming in to see Lily. Now, the conversation between Louis, Lasat, and Lily is quite tantalizing in the way that there is some sort of like telepathy that's going on, because the way that Lasat is acting towards Lily would make any man angry, right? Like the way he is engaging with her, touching her, caressing her body and all that would throw off any man who is also interested in Lily. But Louis seems to be sat on the seat and he can't move. Like he can't move. Kumbe, the vampire is already vampiring. All right. So during this intoxicating conversation that they're having between the three of them, and the fact that he can't move, and he immediately gets locked in, like they lock in, right? They lock in, and all he can think about is just this man. And he was so angry, but so impressed at the same time by this man with a French accent, very blonde haired, very seductive eyes, very sexy man. He's like a very, he looks godlike. He's like, you just want to eat him up with a big spoon. You just want to like crack him open and just like, eat him up. So he is this hot dude who's gotten him so mesmerized in this conversation. He can't move. He's so impressed but so angry about this whole interaction with Lily, him taking Lily, and then they start like placing money on it. So this guy puts Lasat puts like 100 bob apa. Oh, Nani, Louis puts like 200. Then Lasat puts like 1,000, and then. So the highest bidder unfortunately ends up being Lasat, and Lasat then leaves with Lily to go for the rest of the conversation. Some bound chica wow wow. All right, some bound chica and wow wow is about to happen. So he's so angry. He's so like fuming. Louis is so fuming about this whole situation. But then you know what? He forgets about it and he goes away. But then they meet each other the next day at this gambler's den of sorts, where the movers and the shakers are in having a game. They were playing cards. And of course, Louis was always invited to these things because he was also a mover and a shaker in his own way. So he comes in, walks in, sees Lasat, and he's like, oh, what's this guy doing here now? What's he doing here? What is it doing here? Only for him to then now be exposed to some other level of, because he doesn't know, this is New Orleans back in like the 70s. Like vampires hadn't been prevalent, like they didn't know much about them. It was just like, it seemed otherworldly, right? For anyone to mention something like that, it was just like, what are you talking about? Like, what are you smoking? Anyway, so during this game, right, these men are talking to Louis in a very condescending way. They were trying to strike a deal, which they were trying to, get him to do the deal at the lowest amount of possible ever, for the lowest commission ever. And as they are having this conversation, we then see Lasat talking to these men, but in Louis' head, his voice, Lasat's voice, is also talking to him, and they're having a very separate conversation. So he's having a separate conversation, like a mind-bending type conversation with Louis here, but he's also talking to these other people. So Louis is like confused. He's like, well, how are you in my head? Like, how are you talking to me? How can I hear you? And also, how can, without you moving your lips? Like, so it's like bending his mind. It's like, oh, what the hell? How are you doing this? It's like mind blown type shit. And as the conversation is going on, Lestat is basically telling him, these men are taking you for fools. I don't understand why you would accept these men treating you the way that they treat you. Like, you deserve and you're worth so much more. And like, you can be so successful, you can be so rich. And I want to be the person who gets you to that place. I want to make you that successful story that no one else will ever be able to touch and whatever. And so it's like, oh, okay, sponsor. Okay, Zaddy. Take care of me. Oh, take care of me. Give me the money. Give me that money. Take care of me. I want to be a baby boy too, right? And it was after that conversation that they now started like hanging out quite a lot. Like, Lestat would basically use Louis to get around town, figure out things. Where do I buy this? Where do I get this? Where do I da 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 da? He's getting all these tailored suits. Shops are staying open for him in the middle of the night when no one else would open for him. It's like it becomes this very intoxicating relationship between them where they're very much friendly, but like there's like a chemistry. There's like an underlying some going on over there. And until one night when Lestat invites Louis over. He's like, hey, you want to have a nightcap? And Louis is like, nah, I'm just going to go home and rest. It was on this night that he said, but no, I have a gift for you. I got you a gift. So Louis is like, what gift? And Lestat says, it's a flower. Immediately, he knows it's Lily. Immediately, he knows it's Lily. So he's like, all right, bet. They show up at his house, and that whole encounter, like, Lily is willed into sleep, into slumber by Lestat, and Louis is like thrown into this intoxicating mind control type situation where they have their first encounter. And it is so transcendingly good. Like, they are literally levitating from the ground. Like, they're levitating off of the ground. Just two of them, just like, oh, doing it. It's like, you can feel the steam coming from your screen because you're like, oh, I want some of that. Like, whatever that is, give me some of that. I want that. Like, subscribe. I want that. Whatever that is, I want it. And it's so intoxicating and whatever. And he's talking. This is, again, he's having a conversation. This is the interview with Malloy. So Malloy, he's narrating this story to Malloy, and Malloy is writing it. And as he's narrating the story to Malloy, he tells Malloy that he always knew like he was different in the way that he loved, but he never felt the freedom and the intimacy of and being seen in the way that he felt that night. Like, he felt seen, he felt loved, he felt all encompassed, and Lestat was grabbing some of his blood as well, and it was transcendent. They had a transcendent encounter, right? And that then gets us. This is still episode 1. All this is episode 1. Okay, yeah, episode 1 of season 1. So basically, after that encounter, he says, I'm never going back to that man's house ever again. Like, I'm never gonna see that man again. And he dips and he starts to live his life like he normally would, like ignoring Lestat altogether, like never talking to Lestat or just ignoring him. But Lestat had already been hunting him. He did not know that he had already been the bait. Yea, and Yonyama, as I said, he is the acquisition that has brought Lestat. He has Lestat's attention through and through. And ultimately, he goes on with his life for a little while, and his sister gets married. The wedding is so insanely amazing. Louis and his brother have this really cool like tap dancing thing going on. They had like an amazing night. The party just kept going, and ultimately that morning of, as the sun is coming up, Louis and his brother go up to the roof, like a spot they used to hang out a lot. You know, the way you want to see the sunrise and you have a specific spot in your house where you'd want to see the sunrise. So the two of them would always like going up there to see the sunlight. And as the sun was rising and they're having an intimate conversation, and the brother tells Louis, "What is the deal with you and this guy?" Because he is the devil. And Louis is like, nah, he's not that bad. He's strange, but he's not that bad. And the brother is like, no, he told me he's the devil. So why are you with this man? Like, you need to stay away from this man. And Louis is like, yeah, just brushing it off like it's nothing. And as they're having this conversation, the brother says something along the lines of, I think I ate too much, as he's walking. And Louis is just chilling, watching the sunrise, closing his eyes, and his brother is walking towards like the edge of the roof of the house. And when he gets to like the edge of the roof of the house, that's when he says, like, I'm really full. I think I ate too much. And suddenly Louis opens his eyes and his brother is practically jumping off the roof. So he stands up like he was like, "Damn! Damn!" But by the time he's dying, the brother is already face on the ground, dead. And then he says, and that was the last sunrise I ever saw. We're like, what do you mean? What do you mean the last sunrise? The next scene we see is at the funeral where the mother is blaming blaming Louis and is like, what were you guys even doing up there? This is your fault. You always push him too hard. You always talk to him so rough. That's why he's taken his own life. So the mom is basically blaming the brother, Louis, for the death of his brother. And the sister is like, no, don't worry about mom. She basically is just finding someone to assign this blame to. And unfortunately, you are the person she's assigning the blame to. So don't take it to heart. She's just angry. She's trying to figure out her feelings, resolve her feelings and whatever. And then he says, I didn't want to be anywhere near my mother. The hatred of my mother blaming me for my brother's death, or the pity of my sister who's trying to save face for my mom. I just wanted to be alone. And then you see him walking, and as he's walking, you can hear Lestat in his mind just going, come to me, come to me, come to me. And he's resisting, and he walks, like, he bursts into a church, and he goes to the confessional booth, and he's like, forgive me, Father, for I have sinned. I have taken children and made them hookers. I have, and I have fallen in love with them. I slept with a man. Like, he's doing the whole confessional thing to this priest, and the priest is like, say your Hail Marys or something of that sort. And as this is going on, and he's just crying, and he's like, he's in my head. I can't get him out of my head. I can't stop hearing his voice in my head. As he's like crying and saying he can't get Lestat out of his mind, he hears this like thunder, like commotion going on. And walks outside to see Lestat grabbing this this priest, grabbing him and dragging him across the church hall. Like, it's grabbing him and dragging him across the church hall, and there's just blood all over, and he's shouting at Louis saying, you make yourself so small, you want to go, because Louis was like, I want to die. It's like, you want to kill yourself for this worthless life? I can give you so much more. I can give you the death that you so want. I can grant you this death that you're so into, and I can bring you into the darkness. Another priest is trying to run away from this bitch. We just see the slow motion of him just walking. The priest running in slow motion. And Lestat just walking towards him like normal, grabbing him as the guy is just about to open the door. He grabs him and just like, kills him. And he then back to where Louis is, and Louis is trying to stab him. It's like a very chaotic scene. And he says, let me bring you into the darkness. And he doesn't know how exactly he was convinced, but yeah, that was the night. And he was turned into a vampire that night. Now, that is episode 1. That's episode 1, babes, of season 1. There are 7 episodes in season 1. There are 8 episodes in season 2, and the new season apparently that started in June in July actually. Anyway, no, it started in June on June 7th of this year. Has 7 episodes. It is called The Vampire Lestat because the story becomes this twisting and turning where now we find out Armand was the villain the whole time. Armand is actually a terrible, terrible old vampire that also had a relationship with Lestat before, and he was only tracking or trying to be in a relationship with Louis so he can get revenge against Lestat, and then Lestat is killed, and then then there is the little girl Claudia, because the relationship between Lestat and Louis becomes so fucking toxic. Louis doesn't want to be the vampire that he's meant to be, like the killer. He doesn't want to be this bloodthirsty, like vampire killer. And Lestat is basically that, a bloodthirsty vampire killer who enjoys this world and eats it with a big spoon. He is killing, he is drinking, he is partying, like he's doing it all. But like Louis, on the other hand, is still guilt-ridden. He still doesn't want to take life. He's still like killing mice and rats and cats and random stray animals and getting blood from them and getting so weak, and they end up having this terrible back and forth where Louis is like, you need to stop being this bloodthirsty angry person cheating on me, da 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 da, and Lestat is like, why do you want to take away this joy from being a vampire? And they become so engrossed in this toxicity of their relationship. And they decide, like any other couple, when things go horribly south, what do? You get a pet. You get a pet or you get a baby. In their case, Lestat decides he's going to give Louis a baby. So they find this young little girl. It's in the heat of leprosy, polio. People are dying right, left, and center. And he finds this little girl. Actually, Louis saves this little girl. Lestat grabs her, turns this girl into a vampire. She's 13 years old. And as you know, the age at which you die as a vampire is the age you remain forever. So you can imagine this is a 13-year-old girl who's just turned into a vampire, and for the next hundreds, thousands of years that she will be alive, she will continue to be a girl in her 13-year-old girl's body. Yet she's like 300 years old. And that also becomes like a whole thing where Claudia starts to rebel against her parents. That is Louis, and Lestat starts to rebel and hates Lestat for turning her into a vampire. And they have such a toxic relationship as as fathers to this girl. And it's so messy to the point where Claudia tries to convince Louis to kill Lestat so that they could be free, because it didn't matter where they went, Lestat would find them. Lestat would find them, and he was trying to control them and keep them in this Stockholm syndrome state for the rest of their lives. At one point, Lestat really wants to keep Louis, and Claudia has become this painstaking problem that is just the thing that is keeping Louis away from Lestat. So one day Lestat gets so angry and they get into this heated fight, and Lestat grabs Louis, flies him all the way up out of the stratosphere, like out of the world, and then just drops him. And Louis falls, and he falls so badly that he injures his body. He's broken bones. He is in so much pain for a long time. He's just trying to recover. And Claudia is so angry. She's like, how would he do this? Why would he do this to you? And she helps him recover. And it was at that time that they started. Now, Claudia decided, no, we need to get rid of Lestat. Like, Lestat is too much. He has kept us here. He has held us hostage. He will not let us live our lives. We need to find a way to kill Lestat. And she somehow convinces Louis to get into this plot to kill Lestat. And somehow they kind of actually ace this plan where they end up having like this. They convince Lesage to have this party for them. It's like a Mardi Gras party, and at this party they attempt to kill him. And do they kill him? Question mark, question mark, question mark. Because they do get into it. Like they do get into it. And then season 2 starts with them finally free. They are in France. I think they're in France at this point. Yes. Louis and Claudia decide to travel the world. They go through so many different places. But they, first of all, I hated that they changed the Claudia. They changed Claudia. Claudia season 1 is not Claudia season 2. Claudia season 2 is she's alright. But Claudia season 1, Claudia season 1 knew what she was doing. She knew what she was doing. Anyway, Claudia season 2 is changed. And now they're traveling the world together with the dad, Louis. And they end up somehow, I think in France. Yes, they end up in France. And in France is when they meet Armand. And Armand has, again, this obsessive love towards Louis. And he just wants Louis so bad. But he's a different kind of person. He's not the kind of toxic that Lesat was. He's more chill, more showing him love and appreciation and caring for him and babying him and just telling him, hey, I can heal you, I can cure you, I can be the thing that you need. And they get into this love story of like, oh my God, this love story of them like trying to fall in love with each other. But Louis is still grappling and having demons of the regret that he had for killing Lesat, and he's always seeing Lesat in like different places, like premonitions of Lesat or like images of what do you call them, like ghosts of Lesat are haunting him, and Armand is trying to heal him from this guilt that he has within him about killing Lesat, and it just keeps going. It just keeps going. The story just keeps going. My God. The moment we find out that Armand is not the nice guy that we thought he would be, girl, my chest, oh my God. Armand was way worse than Louis. He was way worse than Louis. Because unlike Louis, who would force and like Lesat would force Louis into being with him, but like never doing anything to harm his mind. Like Armand would literally just rewrite the story in Louis's mind. He would change up the story, like he would compel him into changing the story in his mind. And now he's stuck in the same loop of having a controlling partner who is forcing his own ideologies onto him and forcing him to fall in love with him, but in a more discreet way without your knowledge. It is so manipulative. It is so dark and problematic, but it just kept going. Every episode I am on the edge of my seat like this, like what just happened? And episodes are like an hour long, so you're really watching this shit. Honestly, if you have nothing else, if you want to look for something to watch this weekend and just binge on and sink your teeth into, this is the story that I need you to get on top of, because I promise you, Hautabanduka, you will not be moving from your seat. The story again is called Interview with a Vampire, and the chaos just kept getting chaotic. I really want you to watch it. Have you watched it? Let me know. I mean, damn, that was madness. But you know what? Let's switch up gears to another one. An agency that finds bullies and beats the shit out of them. Bullies in schools and beats the shit out of them. A thing I would have wanted to have happened in my lifetime as a person who got bullied the shit out of in high school, I really would want this agency to come through for me. Damn.